Hey everyone, it's Jan. So tonight I'm showing you what I'm making for dinner. I'm doing a classic pot roast, and it's real simple to do. So what I did was I picked up a rump roast at the store, and I browned it on all sides in my garlic flavored olive oil and a little salt and pepper. Now I use garlic flavored olive oil for just about everything that would have some sort of a savory, taste to it. Obviously you can just use plain olive oil, you can use vegetable oil, whatever oil you're comfortable with. But I use olive oil for the nutritional aspect, the health benefits, and I just added the garlic too because garlic is also really good for you too. But that's to taste. If you don't like the taste of it, you can just use regular olive oil. So what I just finished doing was just browning the meat, and how I'm cooking it today, since I have to go out, I'm going to cook it in a slow cooker, which I find to be a really great thing to own, because if you're out and about during the day and you are stressed about having dinner, all you would really need to do is just kind of prepare ahead. If you can prepare ahead and then just put it in a crock pot, or I call it a slow cooker, then you're good to go and it could cook, and you never really have to worry about dinner. And I've used it several times, and I use it obviously more in the winter and the fall months, but I'm using it today because we actually do have to run out in a bit. So I will show you how I assemble everything. So again, this is just browned rump roast. I'd say it's approximately about 5 pounds, maybe 4.5. I don't eat red meat, so this is for my family tonight. I'm just going to have fish. But there was a time when I used to love red meat, and pot roast in particular. So that's the meat, and here are the vegetables that are going to go in. I'm just going to put in some onions, celery, and some carrots. And I had bought yellow rice at the store, but I remembered last night I served rice with dinner. So then I'm just going to put in some potatoes about an hour before everything is ready to be served. So let me just show you what I've done so far, which is just browning the meat. So what I'm going to do right now is take the meat, I'm going to put it, since it's done, pick this up, make sure nothing drips, and then put it in here. So now that's in there. And then what you need to do is you need to fill it with the liquid and everything else that you're going to put in here, but you need to cover the meat for the entire time that it cooks, but we'll get to that. So right now the meat's in there, and I'm going to add the vegetables, which are all of these right here. I'm hoping you can see. I'm doing this on my iPhone. This is much easier to do than holding another type of camera. So that is all in there, looking gorgeous already. And then what I like to do is I make a kind of like an herbs de Provence, but I'm missing probably several of the different types of herbs you would use. So in here what I have in a mortar and pestle, and this is an authentic Spanish, I think it's Castilian mortar and pestle from Spain. So my mother had this, and I inherited it, so I love this. But anyway, so that is some ground herbs, and I'll tell you what they are. They're rosemary leaves and thyme leaves, and you really want to ground them pretty good because they could be very woody, but they really add a really nice, intense flavor. So I'm going to sprinkle some of this on as well. Not too much, but just enough to impart a good amount of flavor. Okay, that's good. And then what I also do is I add tomato sauce to this. This is homemade tomato sauce. I had it. So I'm just going to pour this in, and that's going to make the gravy. I'll add water to clean this out. But that is the tomato sauce. I also add in here Worcestershire sauce, or Worcester sauce, however you pronounce it. Just a few drops, not too much, but enough. It comes out very, very slow, but enough to give a really nice flavor. And then I add some red wine. This is some good Spanish red wine, and I put that in as well. Now this cooks, I'm saying I'm probably putting in about half a cup. This cooks for approximately, I'm going to say 5 hours. So that red wine will definitely burn off. You don't have any of the effects of alcohol, but I do like to cook with wine. I like to replicate what I watch on my cooking shows, and a lot of them use wine. So wine and brandies and things like that. So I actually do like to use that. So now I have in here so far, I have the meat, the celery, the onions, the carrots, the tomato sauce, the red wine, the Worcester sauce, and my herbs de Provence, or, basically just rosemary leaves and thyme leaves. I'm going to add a little salt and pepper, which is back here behind all of my stuff and my little tagines type of things. Just a nice, pinch. This is white ground pepper. I normally ground my own black pepper, but I was lazy one day and I opened up a ground white pepper that I had. Okay, so now that is seasoned, and what we have to do now is we have to add enough water to have this come to the top. I'm hoping I have enough in my kettle right now. And you just pour this in so that it covers the meat. Let's see if I did it. Probably not, no, nowhere near. So let's go to the sink. Bring this over and fill it up. This hand soap, by the way, I got from Target, and it's really good. It's the Orlikili method hand soap, and it's in the scent vanilla chai. So that's really good stuff. Okay, so let me just turn off my water and go back over here. And then continue to fill this up. And that tomato sauce will make a really nice gravy. Okay, oh, a little bit more. You can push the vegetables down, but the meat has got to be pretty much covered. Let's get a spoon, move back a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now I am just stirring everything, making a nice gravy. I find quite often I always have so much more gravy, but they do insist that you need to cover the meat, so I do just that. At one point, if you feel that this gravy is too liquidy for you, when it's almost done cooking, you could take some cornstarch or a little flour and mix it with some cold water, and as it's bubbling, you pour it in, because the cold flour mixture or the cornstarch mixture really makes for a thicker gravy. That's what I read once, but it does work. Okay, so everything is pretty much mixed up. It's not completely covered, but if I were to add more water, I'm afraid it's going to bubble over. So I'm going to leave it be. I'm going to see if the meat shrinks down a little bit, and then I will gauge the water situation. But that's basically it. There's really nothing else I need to put in here, maybe with the exception of a bay leaf, which I do like to put my bay leaves in. So I have bay leaves. Let me just open this up. With one hand, it's kind of hard. Okay, we got it. Take out a couple of bay leaves, which look like these. If you're not familiar with bay leaves, which I'm sure everyone is, they're pretty strong. You have to remember to take these out and put in some bay leaves. And that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the top on. Okay. What I like to do also, just because there have been times when I've walked in and I have found a little liquid at the very, very bottom, because it does build up pressure inside. You might even come in one day and hear the top rattling just a bit, but that's only because it just needs to have the lid opened up for just a second or two, let out some of the steam, and then it stops bubbling down. But I'm going to keep it on low, and I feel comfortable to leave my house and come back later and have my meal done. So yeah, this is it. This is real simple. So it's a classic pot roast recipe, and I'll, like I said, judge my gravy as I go along. If it's too thin, I'll do that cornstarch little trick I told you about. And about an hour before everything's done, I'll throw in some red potatoes there. And I keep the skins on. I just cut them up. They're already scrubbed. I keep the skins on. I just dice them into quarters, and I throw them in because I think the skins are really beneficial. And I love to eat raw potatoes anyway. I don't know if anyone else does, but I got a thing for raw potatoes. But so this is our meal tonight. It's going to be a classic pot roast. And if I don't come back tonight, which, I probably will make every bit of effort that I can to come back and show you later how it looks, but if I don't, it'll just be really cooked down a lot. It'll be extremely tender. It'll have the potatoes in it, and it will be ready to eat. So I hope to see you guys later on, but give this a go. It's really simple, and I will talk to you guys later on. Bye, everyone.